Good day, everyone. Today we'll be talking about infusion pumps, what they are and what they do. So a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. We'll be quickly defining exactly what an infusion pump is. Then we'll be looking at what it actually looks like so you can recognize these things. What types are out there, who manufactures them, the anatomy that they interact with in the human body, how they actually work, the importance of the actual infusion pump and the problems that are associated with that, and then a couple conclusions that we'll draw. So what exactly is an infusion pump? Well, I looked on the FDA website to get an exact definition, and these are direct quotes from what they define an infusion pump as. So, an external infusion pump is a medical device used to deliver fluids into a patient's body in a controlled manner. As well, infusion pumps may be capable of delivering fluids in large or small amounts and may be used to deliver nutrients or medications. Some infusion pumps are designed mainly for stationary use at a patient's bedside. Others, called ambulatory infusion pumps, are designed to be portable or wearable. So now that you got a general definition of what an infusion pump is, what do they actually look like? Well, as you can see here are a couple pictures of what some infusion pumps are that are developed by several companies. These are single-channel infusion pumps, whereas this one you can see here is actually a crazy 4-channel infusion pump. If you want to see more pictures of different infusion pumps, there will be some more later on in the slides, but also you can just always Google infusion pump and there's tons out there. So what type of pumps are actually out there? Well, let's get some examples. Something called an enteral pump, and this is actually a pump that used to deliver liquid nutrients and medications to a patient's digestive tract. In addition to this, there's the PCA pump, or patient-controlled pump. This is a pump that's used to deliver pain medication, which is equipped with a feature that allows patients to self-administer a controlled amount of medication as they need it. In addition to this, there's something called an insulin pump, which is used usually at home to deliver insulin to patients with diabetes. So what styles of pumps are actually out there? What mechanisms do they use to actually deliver the medications? So there's a syringe pump, which is a simple mechanism to push the driver on a syringe. In addition to this is an elastomeric pump. These are just simple elastic chambers that will slowly contract and squeeze the liquid out. In addition to this is the peristaltic pump, which is the most common one that you see. This has a similar mechanism to how your throat works, where it will actually force the liquid down in controlled amounts. Multi-channel pump, this is any of these types of pumps that have more than one channel. And obviously a smart pump sounds pretty smart, and that's because it just has a lot of features that help with delivering the medication. So the question is, what manufacturers are actually out there? Well, there's a lot. Just during my brief search, I found just these ones here. So if you did a look as well, you could probably find a whole bunch more. So now that we know vaguely what an infusion pump is, let's delve a bit deeper into the anatomy and how the infusion pumps actually interact with this. So in most cases, the infusion pump is an intravenous or an IV type of device. So it actually will deliver the medications or whatever else is being injected through into the veins. This is the case for most of the systems due to the ability of the veins to take most medications well. To explain this a bit later as we talk about other systems. In addition to this, there's a very specialized type of injection for the infusion pump. This is subcutaneous, which you can see on the right here, subcutaneous or hypodermis, where you basically inject into the fat. This is for very specific types of treatments, so we won't delve into those now. Another one is arterial, where instead of injecting into the veins like intravenous IV, we actually put the liquid or medication into the arteries. This is not usually used except when you need to target a very specific organ within the body. For example, if you need cancer medication and you want to target a certain organ, you can hook the infusion pump up to the arteries that lead to this organ or whatever part of the body it needs to go to. However, it is not usually used for just general medication because the arteries are very high pressure compared to veins, and so placing a needle within the body into an artery can be very difficult, especially because of the back pressure. In addition to this, if you damage the artery when you're actually trying to put the needle in, you can damage the tissue that this artery feeds. However, if you puncture or damages the vein, it's not as big of a deal because there are other ways that this blood can filter back to the heart. And then the last one is an epidural, IV, or epidural infusion pump. This is again very specialized for certain cases that we won't go into here. So now let's delve a bit into how the infusion pumps actually work. We'll be going through today a simple peristaltic single-channel device by Baxter, which we saw briefly before, because this is the device that most hospitals or home users will actually utilize. So as you can see here on the left, this is with a door open on the device, and where the IV line is placed, it is pushed down through the little peristaltic clips and through two pressure sensors on the top and bottom. Once it's all inserted, this door is closed and you get to the main panel, which is at the front here. So here you can set the rate of infusion and the volume to be infused. Through altering these two amounts, you can set a high amount, low amount, fast rate, low rate, etc., based on what kind of medication you need to put in. For example, if you've got a medication that's very acidic to the body, you don't want to inject this very quickly. Otherwise, you can cause irritation to the veins that it's being inserted into. So, for example, for that, you would put a very low rate but have a high volume so that it would slowly trickle into the body and not cause any irritation. In addition to this, the system's got several safeties on it. For example, if you get a bubble into the line, it's very bad if this makes it into the body. So there's actually sensors on this device that will sense for that and give an alarm. In addition to this is an occlusion, which is actually a pinch of the line where no more fluid is flowing. This will also give an alarm so that the patient or the nurse will know that the device is not administering the medication or whatever other fluid is being injected properly. So now we know exactly what the infusion pump is and what it does, but how important are they actually? Well, you can probably guess that they are pretty important. Why is that? Well, where are they used? Almost everywhere. You go into a hospital or even into some homes, and you can find these devices. If you go into hospitals, almost every room will have one, and almost every patient in them will be actually hooked up to one. So that comes to our next question: who are they used by? And that is everyone. Whether or not you have used one, or you know someone that's had to use one, or being hooked up to one, most likely you'll be hooked up to one in your lifetime if you haven't already. So they're very prolific devices that are around everywhere and are used for very important surgeries or painkillers, etc. And yet there's a lot of problems with them still. For example, over 500 deaths from infusion pumps between 2005 and 2009. This is just the deaths. There's also approximately 56,000 cases of injury associated with the misuse of infusion pumps. For example, if you've got, again, a very acidic medication and you put the wrong infusion rate, you can cause some serious damage to yourself. So there are still some problems that need to be sorted out with this, and a lot of the newer smart pumps are attempting to solve this. But again, when you get more complicated, there's more problems that can crop up, or problems that will cause a device to malfunction and cause injury. So now that you know what an infusion pump is and what it does, we can draw several conclusions from this. For example, lots of different types and manufacturers of infusion pumps are out there. This allows for various combinations to produce exactly the infusion pump that you need for each specific application. In most cases, the hospitals will be using these, so you won't have to specify this yourself, but this gives them a lot of options as well. In addition to this, there's a pretty simple operating principle around how to inject or slowly feed the body with medications or nutrients. For example, a peristaltic one, which is what you see in most cases, very simple system, not very prone to failure. Even though there still are failures, they're not as bad as something that's very complicated. In addition to this, it's widespread and used by most. You see them everywhere, hospitals, at home, etc. But even then, they still have issues. And as was very surprising to me, 500 deaths over about 4-year, 5-year span, just because of the misuse of infusion pumps. Today, thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, please post them below and I will try and answer them. Obviously, I'm no expert in this field, but for my research, I should hopefully be able to help you out. Thank you very much.